I know you're not thinking about fall time, the time that the garden is getting precarious. It could frost at any time. But here in Wyoming, in September we can get snow, and sometimes a lot of snow. So I'm thinking ahead. What can I do to help my fall garden, which in turn would help my spring garden? And so today I am going to make solar cones. Now, I got the idea out of this book, Solar Gardening. It has all kinds of tips and ideas on using the sun to your advantage. So one of the things that they make are what they call solar cones. And there's a picture of them in her garden, just one right after another, capturing that heat. And I am going to make those today. Now, I've pretty much followed their directions. A couple things I did differently. One, the exact fiberglass that they used that was bendable, I could not get in lengths over 48 inches. And that's not what I wanted. I needed it to be the full 6 feet for each cone. So I'm going to show you how I made them, what they do, and just how big they really are. Could I fit into one of those cones? You'll have to keep watching to see if I can. That's interesting. Let's go make some. And I will give you a link on the material I used that I could find in a roll so that I could cut my 6 cones out. Why do I want to use them? Sometimes it's not going to snow where you live, but it may be going to frost. And so you can put sheets over things and you can put plastic over things. But I wanted something that when it gets that time of year, I could literally just leave in my garden. And with that thought, in the springtime, I could put them on the soil, warm up the soil before I even plant. And because it's large, basically 3 feet across, it can really heat up a lot of soil. Now, I've used walls of water lots of times. Do they work? They do, but I don't think like these are going to use. And in that book, they talk about walls of water. It's not like they don't use them too. And I'm going to show you some ideas on how to make them stay, because in Wyoming, we have a lot of wind. So you people that are like down in Texas, where there's a lot of wind, how are you going to hold it down? I mean, you can tuck the soil around it, but what else do you need? Because in my weather, that just wouldn't hold it down. I mean, I literally have to stake the walls of water. And so I'll show you what I'm going to do with those too. Let's go get started. Now I'm working on my bed, and I've made a paper pattern so that I can just repeat it over and over again. And I just thought it'd be easier, and I can save that for when and if I decide to mix more of them. So I'm just using a marker, and I am just tracing the pattern. Now this material that I'm using, this fiberglass, though it actually said it was thicker than what they require, it is not as thick. But I can use some really heavy-duty scissors to cut it. I wouldn't use just regular scissors that may ruin your scissors after you've cut a whole bunch of them. This is the center hole that will be on the top. It's a 5-inch diameter that I just drew. And I'm just, see how I can just cut around there and I can just get it all done. The bed works perfect. If you have a really large table or 2 tables that you can work on, that's great. I just think it would be a little bit harder trying to work on the floor to do it. Just take your time, follow your pattern that you did, and I am actually cutting out 6 of them today, and you can see the roll alongside of the wall. And it is just, it's really pretty easy. Seriously. I think anybody could do it. So the idea is that you can take the cone and hook it onto itself. And we're going to use some nuts and bolts 1/4 inch ones, which is a little bit different than what they recommend in the book, but I just thought the other ones were just too heavy for this material, so I went with 1/4 inch ones. And it makes a big a big solar cone. And so here they all 6 of them are cut out. I rolled up my pattern so that I can save it and I won't have to cut up another pattern again. And it recommends that you take some sandpaper and just kind of go along those edges in case there's any sharp edges. And sometimes I found that when I was cutting it, it was a little jagged on some parts. I'm going to rip that. I don't need that to use that much sandpaper at one time. And it does have a plastic coating on it that you just, and I'll show you when I take that off. So it's not like it's actually scratching the fiberglass. It's just scratching that plastic that I'll take off. But it does smooth it out. And it's really pretty fast. And I can see how, how you could get a paper cut. This would be a cut from the fiberglass and it wouldn't be comfortable. It could really actually cut you. So take 5 minutes and just go around. Now the one edge you don't have to do because that is an edge that they did. I suppose you could use like a little heat gun if you were careful and just kind of smooth those edges out with that. Just run it along real quick. But seriously, it didn't even take me 5 minutes. So I moved them all out to the living room and I'm going to take them outside. But I did clip them together because I have to do some drilling so that I have places for my nuts and bolts. These are the pages I just thought I'd show you. And this is the book, Solar Gardening. It's from about 1994. And it recommends that you use 3/8 inch nuts and bolts. That's too thick. This is the plastic they recommend, but I could not find it in the lengths that I wanted it. And so I used a roll, so I just used my pattern so that I could get the most out of everything. When you go to drill the holes, you go up an inch, in an inch, and every 7 inches till you get to the center. And that is where your bolts are going to go through. So here I am. I marked it an inch in and an inch in from the edge, and then every 7 inches. So it makes it so there's 5 holes on each side. And they will line up for you. See? Both sides mark it. Now, because I'm going to drill them all at the same time, I thought, I better clamp those babies down. And so it really goes in and out really fast. And so I'm just going to go all the way down, do 5 on one side, 5 on the other side, and then we're going to put this cone together. I'm actually very excited about this whole project. So I'm using, let me pull off that clear plastic, or it's like just to protect it. And I'm just going to throw that away. Do you have to take it off? Probably not. But I just want to make sure that I got it all off, and then we're going to put the cone together. The nut and bolt are 1/4 inch, and you're going to use 5 for each cone. Oh, see, I didn't even get it all off. And so we're just going to turn that around. Now, they recommend that you start at the bottom. And I tried both ways, starting at the bottom and starting at the top. You definitely want to start at the bottom. And I tried it different ways. Should you put the bolt through and have the nut on the outside, or should you do it the opposite way and have the nut on the inside? I did a couple both ways. Then I switched everything so that I was actually putting the bolt on the outside and the nut on the inside. I'm going to switch. Though I'm putting those in right now, I'm actually switching because it just worked better. And you just start at the bottom, work your way up to the top. If you start at the top, it doesn't necessarily align upright, which is surprising. But it is a cone, it's not flat. So here's my 6 cones. You can see 5 of them in the picture. And you could stack them one on top of the other to store them. How am I going to hold them down? They're from top to the bottom. 27 inches. So I tried different things. This is just a tomato cage that I bent it over. Now, this was just a small tomato cage, but I think I could put a larger tomato cage in there, bend the wires down. That would help it hold it, but I still would have to pound something into the ground. There, I just stacked all 6 of them together. Now, can I fit inside that cone? I want you to see just how large they are. And that's me. Joe took the picture, me inside one of those cones. Your kids would have a great time. Well, can you believe it? I can literally fit inside one of my solar cones. Now, with all those other little scraps that I had left, I'm going to make some little tiny solar cones that I could just put on little tiny seedlings that are just starting to come up. Or if I wanted to propagate and I needed some kind of cover, I could use those. One thing to remember, in both the spring and the fall, make sure when it becomes night that you're covering that hole somehow. They suggest like stuffing some towel or some straw in there, but by the time it's where I'm putting those on, I might have thought of something even better. But everyone, this is Sandi, Suburban Homesteader, Wyoming, Arizona, and I hope you consider making solar cones. Use that sun to your advantage. Let it warm up the soil. Let it hold that heat all night long. Because one of the things with the walls of water, though it holds the heat, it's such a small area. If your roots are starting to go out, those roots aren't staying warm. Where this, I think, is really large enough. Now, anybody, if you can find where I can get that thicker plastic in a roll or in sheets that are at least 6 feet long, let me know, because I could only find them in 48 inches or less. So if you have access to that or know where I might be able to get that, I'd really like a roll, because I'd really like to use these every spring and every fall. This is Sandi, Suburban Homesteader, Wyoming. Enjoy the rest of your summer.